192 straight days of Clippers talk here for you guys. It is good to be with you.
We are divine opportunists.
I'm Adam Osland. If you missed yesterday's show, it was a special one. We went over 5 hours post game after the Clippers' big overtime victory up at Chase Center, 124 to 119 over the Golden State Warriors. I highly recommend checking out that show. Carlo Jimenez, of course, was on. Chuck Mockler, Justin Rousseau called in unexpectedly. We had a caller from Australia last night. And yes, I think it was almost 5.5 hours long. But we kind of encapsulated the season, what it meant to get to 50 wins, how this team was able to do it. Talked about the incredible, thrilling victory over Golden State. We previewed the Denver game. So, yeah. If you missed that show last night, you missed a lot.
That sucks.
It would suck if you guys missed it.
That sucks.
Make sure to go back and watch that one, even if you can't watch the entire 5 hours. Check out what you can, even if you got to cut the show in half. Like,
You don't want to get hit by no Clipper because it's going to cut your ass in half.
oh yeah, Clavon called in, of course. And yeah, a lot of people are giving the Clippers their due all of a sudden. I mean, you know me, I hate to have to pull receipts here, but I saw that, Bill Simmons is comparing Ivica Zubac to Marcus All now. Cool story, bro. Cool story, Bill. I said it back in 2021. Zubac is the long-lost Gasol brother. I have been saying this for a long, long time. I thought he was a Clippers fan. Does he really watch this team closely? Yeah, it took him a while. Bill, have me on your show. I'll get you up to speed on what this Clippers team has been doing and how they were able to be this good this season, and remind you of your miserable rant when they brought in James Harden, how poorly that aged. So we got Tomer Azarly coming up on today's show. He was at Chase Center covering the Clippers yesterday for that incredible, dramatic win in overtime to stay out of the play-in. The Clippers played their way into a 4-5 matchup against the Denver Nuggets, starting on the road. We'll talk about what it was like being there. Tomer in the building. And I want to review a little bit more of the post-game audio from that game because I was at the gym. I ran a half marathon earlier. No joke. And I was listening to the opposing locker room and what they were saying afterwards. Steve Kerr, Draymond, Jimmy Butler, Pods. And I heard something interesting from Draymond. And first of all of them said one of the big reasons they felt like they lost the ball game was they got out scrapped. The Clippers were better at getting to the 50-50 balls. And they out-rebounded the Golden State Warriors by, they said it was, 17, 42 to 25. The Warriors had 25 total boards. The Clippers had 42. Ivica Zubac had 17 on his own, but specifically not getting to loose balls as quickly as the Clippers were. Here was Draymond, though. I heard him say this about going up against Kawhi Leonard in the game, and I wanted you guys to hear it as well, because this is, as much as, Draymond, obviously, he can be annoying and frustrating. He's one of those guys. If he's on your team, you love him. If he's off your team, you hate going up against him. And whatever you think about him and his podcasts and his comments and his opinions and his kicking guys in the nuts habit and all that stuff, this was pretty well said about what it's like to going up against Kawhi and playing the greats.
Draymond, did you want the matchup with Kawhi there at the end of regulation and then into overtime? Did you seek that out?
Yeah, I wanted to match up. I did.
How good was he playing tonight?
He's great. Every time I play against him, I improve because it's such a challenge. He's one of the guys I enjoy playing in this league the most because he's so good. A lot of people don't give him the credit he deserves. Only when it's beneficial do they give him credit. But he's so fucking great, and you have to be dialed in. But he's so fucking great, and you have to be dialed in order to try to guard him. And even when you are dialed in, it's still a very hard challenge. So he's one of the guys that, for myself, I enjoy playing against the most in this league. He'd have to be in my top 3 of guys I enjoy playing just because I hate playing against the teams that, star players aren't out there. And I like to play against the stars because it just challenges you on a different level. When you watch this league growing up, you loved watching the matchups with Kobe and another great, Shaq against David Robinson and Tim Duncan. Like, those were the matchups. Shaq versus the Pistons, with Ben Wallace. Like, those are matchups I enjoy watching the most. And now, being in this position, those are the matchups that I like playing against the most because they, when you're playing against greats, they just require you to play at a different level. And every time I play against Kawhi, he requires that. And so I'm always excited to play against him to just challenge you to be better as a basketball player.
That was a pretty cool comment. Pretty cool statement from Draymond post-game. Showing love to Kawhi and what it means to go up against the best. I thought you guys would enjoy hearing that. But I also didn't get to go through yet with you the post-game audio from 2 Clippers players still. And they're necessary. I want to hear from Norman Powell and Ivica Zubac post-game. Here was Norm last night.
Through that absolute playoff game, it just felt like back and forth. No team was willing to kind of give up there. What was that game just like to be a part of?
A lot of fun,
That was Tomer, I believe, who's coming on just a little bit.
Especially like the roller coaster ups and downs, going on runs, they go on runs, figuring it out. A couple easy plays, especially for myself. I didn't make it, but just staying in the moment, just being focused on trying to make winning plays when it's needed, and being locked in, tied in. I think as a unit, we did a great job of not letting the ups and downs and the runs affect us, and we're able to get the stops we needed and make the plays down the stretch.
This felt like one of those games where the first 4 quarters, buckets were hard to come by. You, I think, in the first half had that big buzzer beater. One play like that really can change the game. How hard is it to stay locked in despite the physicality, the misses, all that type of stuff?
I mean, it's tough, you want to go out there and play a perfect game, especially when you know it's on the line. You missed it or made it? You missed it? Damn.
I'm guessing they were watching the Masters in the locker room.
But yeah, I mean, it's tough, but you're just trying to stay with it. You go through the ups and downs of the season. It's all about mental fortitude and being able to bounce back and stay in the moment. And I was able to do that and come up with some big plays for us in timely manner.
I'm hoping because Norman Powell did struggle, but came through with some big buckets in the fourth quarter, that him getting to play 44 minutes and getting that long leash, even though he was struggling, he had a couple miserable turnovers in the first half where he just got ripped by Moody. I'm hoping, and I do believe, that Coach Lou stuck with him, first of all, because Bogey wasn't playing well. He didn't have a ton of options. Nico Batum wasn't there, but also because he wanted to show confidence in Norm. He'll let you play through your mistakes, even in a big game like that, because he knows he'll come through at some point. And he did with 2 tough buckets going to the basket in the fourth quarter. And obviously, the 3 to end the first half was critical to put him up by 2. So it kind of shows belief in that Norm is one of his guys. He's going to ride or die with him. Now, if Bogey was having a great game, he probably sticks with him. If Nico was there, he could have gone with Nico, but I'm guessing Norman Powell appreciated the fact that Coach Lou continued to roll with him late.
What does it mean for this group to make the playoffs, considering the way the season started?
Considering how y'all counted us out and said that we was only going to get 30 wins.
Ooh. Norm getting spicy with Brad Turner here.
Playoffs, considering the way the season started.
Considering how y'all counted us out and said that we was only going to get 30 wins. You got the media pass on, so let's go. Nah, man, it's a testament, to this team, to this organization, the belief that we had in ourselves, and using the critics to count us out. I think we were only favored or whatever to have 35 wins to end up with 50. It's a big landmark, milestone for this season, especially holding down the fort while Kawhi was out, and guys being able to step up and have career years down the line. I think sky's the limit for us in the playoffs. We got some time to rest and lock back in, get our bodies right, our minds right for these 4 games or 7 games against Denver.
I don't want to act like, hey, it was great that Kawhi only played 37 games this season, because the truth is, if he plays 60 games, they win 60 games probably. Really. But you can make the argument that because they had to rely so much on Norman Powell to start the year and Ivica Zubac, that it expedited their growth and progression as players in much bigger roles. And they wouldn't be in this place where they're playing this well now. So I don't want to say blessing in disguise, but it's not nothing. It was meaningful that they knew they had to get by and hold down the fort, as he said there, without Kawhi for so long. Oh, yeah. And shout out James Harden for winning Player of the Week. I just saw that. Kawhi wins it last week. James Harden wins it the final week of the NBA season, averaging 29.5 points, 8.5 boards, 10.5 assists, while leading the Clippers to a 4-0 week and a guaranteed playoff spot. And he was the best player in the game yesterday, in a game with how many Hall of Famers? 4 or 5? More from Norm Postgame.
You've been open all year as well about you personally and the things that people thought you were doing.
Joey Lynn asking him individually about his season.
For these 4 games or 7 games against Denver.
You guys as a team counted out, but you've been open all year as well about you personally and the things that people thought you were doing in this increased role. What can you say about the regular season?
It's fun, for me, it's what I expected of myself, given the opportunity. I feel like I could have been doing this, for a long time. If you look back at the times I've got opportunity to play my role and play my game, the production spoke for itself. But taking a lesser role coming here and fitting in and trying to win a championship with a team every single year, you got to sacrifice for the greater good because you want to win. But I didn't expect anything less of me. I prepared for this moment. I've said it all year. I'm just glad that, T. Lue and Mark Hughes and Lawrence Frank, trusted me and believed in me and allowed me to have this opportunity to go out there and show what I could do.
If you watched Norm in Portland, you knew he was capable, maybe not of this, but to average 20 points per game. He's that type of player. He's that good of a scorer. He's that efficient of a scorer. Could you do it on a winning team and have as much success as he did? Because he was averaging 24 a game pre-All-Star break, before he got hurt, before Kawhi came back. He was that good. He should have been an All-Star. He ended up averaging 22 per game on the season, 48% from the field, 42% from 3. Incredible.
What was it like watching James and Kawhi kind of go back and forth in the second half, especially?
Tomer asking about James and Kawhi and the takeover they had in the second half.
Yeah, a lot of fun, man. I even said it when Kawhi hit the fading mid-range in that right corner. I mean, it's a tough game with high-level shot making. And that's what it comes down to. You got your stars, Hall of Fame players making big shots on both ends of the floor. It's a lot of fun. This is what we put the work in, and this is what competition's about.
When Steph Curry got his, I think he was a 36, 30 or whatever. But
Yeah.
I felt like Chris really did a phenomenal job on him all night.
Yeah, great job. I mean, he was locked in after the sack game, getting his body ready, getting his body right, his mind right, knowing what he had to do. I mean, Steph is Steph. He's going to make good shots. He's going to make great plays, but not getting discouraged was a big message from the JVG, especially with Chris being locked in on him. And, he made it tough for him. He's going to make shots. He's a hell of a player, one of the greatest shooter of all time. But, for defense, all you want to do is make it hard for him. And Chris did that full 48.
Yeah, Steph still had an 18-point fourth quarter. And I left this game thinking Chris Dunn is one of the best perimeter defenders I've ever seen. I've left this season feeling like that about him. He's been that special with his defense. The only reason that he's not going to be on an all-NBA team is because not enough games with enough minutes out there. He didn't meet the qualifications. But don't kid yourself. Chris Dunn is one of the top 5 best perimeter defenders in the league at worst.
What's it like? Give you a shout out, my boy. Come on, Smoke.
And he's nicknamed Smoke.
What was it like just being on the court with your guys, like in the breaks of games and the timeouts? Like, what did that sound like? Like, can you kind of bring us into
it was good, back and forth. Everybody being coached by everybody. Trying to get it right. Mess up a mistake on the defensive end, coming to the timeout. Being receptive to constructive criticism. Everybody's trying to pull the rope in the right direction. This is a team game. People are gonna make mistakes, but it's all about lifting that player up. James came to me. I was a little frustrated.
Listen to this. Listen to this leadership from James Harden coming to Norm, and this is great. Just hearing how close they were in the huddle, constructive criticism. Guys will take it, they will accept it, and they will move on, make those corrections, fix things. They are all in together, wanting to win.
We're gonna make mistakes, but it's all about lifting that player up. James came to me. I was a little frustrated with how I was playing at that moment, and he came to me and told me none of that matters. I'm a great player, and just continue to stay focused in the moment on to the next play. But that's what teams is. You lift each other up, you cheer each other on, and figure out how to get a win.
Awesome. James has been doing that all season long. Telling him he's a great player, reminding him how good he is. And Norm came through in the fourth quarter with 2 huge, couple just really, really important buckets. Was it 2 or 3 from Norm in the fourth quarter? Now I got to check the play-by-play again. I know who did all the scoring in overtime. That was James. He scored 12 of the 13 points. The only other point was scored by Kawhi at the free throw line when he went 1 for 2. In the fourth quarter, Norm layup to tie it at 105 with 2:52 left. Big time. Big time. Norm layup to put them up 4 at the 6:22 mark. I think those are the 2. Was there a third? Yeah, that was it. But big buckets. Did he go to the free throw line? Just make sure. Give him full credit here. I trust Norm in fourth quarters, guys. In fact, the last 2 seasons, not many players in the NBA have been better in the fourth quarter. In fact, let's look at these numbers here because I have them for you. Norm in fourth quarters this year shot 53% from the field. Cool. That's all right, Adam. Not bad. 49% from 3. He shot 49% from 3 in fourth quarters this year. If you're wondering why Coach Lou would stick with him, there you go. You want to see last year? This is not a fluke. This is Norm Powell. Last year in fourth quarters, 54% from the field, 48% from 3. He's been shooting almost 50% from 3 in fourth quarters in 2 straight years. That's unbelievable. So, yeah, Norm is clutch. I want to see him in there late in games, even when he struggles. Another guy that I don't care if he struggles early. You aren't winning without him. Big Zoo. Here he was post game after he dropped, just 22 and 17 boards on 11 of 16 shooting. He didn't get featured as much with them finding him on the block. He had a lot of putbacks. He was cleaning up a lot of misses. Incredible game from Big Zoo. Here he was post game.
We're able to get 17 rebounds. The Warriors as a team only had 25. The fact you're able to guys dominate on the glass like that.
It was big. First 3 matches against them, when we played them, I think they out-rebounded us. They had a lot of second-chance shots and everything. So that was a big point of emphasis. Just
I came into the game, and I told you guys in the preview with Big Mike, they are a good offensive rebounding team, the Golden State Warriors. What did Big Zoo say? Well, that was an emphasis for them because they got out-rebounded the first 3 games against Golden State. They crushed them on the boards. It was worrisome after what happened in Sac. They weren't cleaning the glass very well. Sacramento had a ton of second-chance points. The Clippers' attention to detail and game plan discipline in the rebounding department yesterday may have won them the game.
Second chance shots and everything. So that was a big point of emphasis, just control the rebounds and both ways. So I think it was a big part of the win.
So you played more than 40 minutes. You didn't have a single foul. Like, how have you been able? And there's been games where you play high minutes, you're rarely in foul trouble. How have you been able to play your role defensively for this team without, ever being a problem as far as people getting in foul trouble?
Rob Murray with a great question there. He didn't have a foul in the game, guys. And he's been good about not fouling. I think part of it is he's getting a good reputation now as being one of the better defenders. So you get the benefit of the doubt more with officials. Also, it's just Zoo is incredibly timely and instinctual on the defensive end. He's not the best athlete at his position or anything like that. It's instincts, it's discipline, it's watching film, knowing tendencies. But coming into this series against Denver, starting on Saturday, it's going to be extremely important that he stays out of foul trouble. That's going to be one of the things that Denver tries to do immediately. They're going to try to get Ivica Zubac in foul trouble and try to get him off the floor. So this has to continue for them to have success.
I think just with experience and timing, I think it's very important to read the game, kind of have a feel of what's going to happen. A bunch of things about saying stuff, so kind of you can see it happening before it happens. So just being in a good position to start with and time it up right, I think it's a big part of it.
What does it mean for this group to make the playoffs? Is it significant for you guys?
Yeah, but we want to, go a little further. So that's not our goal. Is obviously to make the playoffs, but we're not happy or whatever. We're happy we got in without being in playing, but it's been happy we got in without being in playing. But
job's not finished.
It's been ever since everyone doubted us, and it feels good to prove everyone wrong. Those people just saying we're going to win 30 games, 35, whatever, to win a 50 games until we get in the play. And it feels good, but we got some more work to do.
Zoo, I was telling you guys would win 50 games at the start of the year, knowing that Kawhi would miss some time, Norm would miss some time. What would you have said?
Oh, Tomer Azarly, good question. He's about to be on with us in about 9 minutes.
Okay, we expected it. We expected to have a good year. We knew what
they expected to have a good year.
We expected to have a good year. We knew what we had in our locker room. We knew pieces that we added are gonna, they're big time players. They make the right plays, play the right way, they play hard, they defend. Smart players, and we knew what we had. So we always believed in ourselves and stayed the course until Kawhi came back. And when he came back, we took off.
That Steph had his 36 points, but
they went 26-11 with Kawhi. Seems good. Guys, if he had played 55, 60 games, This team's winning 60 games this season. That's how good they've been with Kawhi. And how many of you, it was a vocal minority, how many of you came in here and were actually trying to tell me they were better without Kawhi post All-Star break when they went in that little rut?
Being a hater.
That aged like milk.
Also had 8 turnovers, and it felt like Chris really made him work for every single
Yeah,
shot.
man, Steph had 8 turnovers in the game. Now, James Harden had 6. Kawhi uncharacteristically had 5. But Chris Dunn hounding Steph the way he did, getting that turnover, that steal by Kawhi late in the game, that was created by Chris Dunn's defense and the rear view defense specifically on that play.
Chris really made him work for every single shot that he made and attempted today. What was it like to just be out there and watch him just hound Steph all night?
Incredible. He's one of the best defenders in the league for sure. And
I think you just heard Chris Dunn say first team.
One of the best defenders in the league for sure. You know, him getting on it. It's hard to screen him. He gets all over those picks. Can't really make a separation with a screen when KD's on the ball. So he got an amazing feeling and timing for the steals, and he made a lot of big time offensive plays, a lot of big time shots. And at the end of the game, he that small pick and roll, he was doing really good in a pocket in that short roll, hitting floaters, kicking the ball out, found before the lob. So he played incredible today.
One of the last times we were in Denver, you talked about the chess match of facing Jokic and how exciting that can be, challenging that can be, but just that battle. 5 years ago when you guys faced him, you didn't get as many opportunities to match up against him.
He didn't forget that he didn't get to play enough in that series in the bubble against Jokic, and that would have been the difference. I fully believe that's one of the big reasons Doc got fired. I mean, the reason they lost that series, being up 3-1, is because he kept throwing Montrez out there. And if memory serves, Jokic was shooting 75% from the field against Montrez and like 48% against Zubac.
Challenging that can be, but just that battle. 5 years ago when you guys faced him, you didn't get as many opportunities to match up against him, but now you will. Just how exciting is that? Just what are your thoughts on that matchup?
It's gonna be tough. He's incredible, best player in the league for sure, and it's gonna be tough. He got so much stuff offensively.
When he said best player in the league for Nikola Jokic, so Justin Russo, who came on yesterday, who called in, or doing the 5-hour show postgame, he took an anonymous poll on who should win MVP, and the Clippers locker room, I believe, had Jokic over SGA. So they're coming into this series accepting that he's the best player in the league.
You got to mix in a lot of different coverages. It's going to be tough for sure, but I think we have our advantages, and I'm sure our coaching staff is going to prepare us to be locked in from game one.
What was it like watching James and Kawhi kind of go shot for shot in the fourth and overtime?
Fun. James hitting those threes. The second one he hit over Jimmy. I felt like it was in the air for like 5 seconds. But it was fun, man. Big time players. One of the best players in the league, both of them, and they did their thing, man. They closed the game. They hit big shot after big shot, and going to the war with them. Game like this, high stakes. I feel pretty confident.
That's what's so big, especially with Kawhi, because he's a 2-time champion. He gives everybody so much confidence when he's out there that we can win. We have the best player. Now, this is the series where you can say the Denver Nuggets have the best player. If you go off of, he's won 3 MVPs in the regular season recently. He's won a finals MVP less than 2 years ago. He's the best player in the game. Kawhi can prove that he's better in this series. I mean, the truth is you can beat Denver even if Jokic is the best player in the series if you have the next 2 best players, if you have the next 3 best players, that's what it needs to be. Even if Jokic is that great, but if Kawhi, James Harden, and Ivica Zubac are the next 3 players, next 3 best players before you get to Jamal or Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon or something, then you're okay. But on the season, guys, Ivica Zubac finished playing 80 games and averaged 17 and almost 13 boards per game on the year while shooting 63% from the field. You know how many Zubac doubters, detractors there were within Clipper Nation? Zubac destroyed everybody on the court and off the court this year. Incredible. Now, for believers like me, feels really good. Ivica Zubac proved us right. All he needed was a bigger opportunity. He didn't become a different player over the summer. Yes, he got better passing out of doubles because he got more touches and more reps to get better. But that could have happened earlier in his career if he was just getting more touches then. I fully believe that. Ivica Zubac had a career year not because he came into his own, in my opinion, because he got the touches to show what he could do. He got the opportunity. He got featured more. Congrats to Big Zoo. Coming out party, however you want to put it. Now, Bill Simmons is realizing what I've been saying since 2021, that, yes, Ivica Zubac is the long-lost Gasol brother. Been saying it. Time-stamped it for you. Ivica Zubac is him. He's certified. He is a made man. By the way, if you want to know what the final numbers were for the Clippers on the season when it comes to the advanced numbers and offensive rating and defensive rating. So the Clippers ended up having the 15th best offense on the year, the 3rd best defense. Let's see, rebounding percentage, they were 4th. Defensive rebounding percentage, they finished 1st, and that is because of that final game. They weren't first heading into that game, I don't believe. And what about if we go over the last 21 games where they went 18-3? Let's see what the numbers are there. 1st in offensive rating, 4th in defensive rating, 1st in net rating. Their last 21 games, guys, where they went 18-3. Peaking at just the right time. Tomer Azarly is set to join us in just moments here. Kind of excited for that because he was up at Chase Center covering this team. We'll talk about that game and look ahead to the upcoming series. If you guys want to call in, though, 877-520-1150. Stevie is in here. He wants to know the number. If you guys call in, I'll get you on right now. But Tomer is coming on in just a little bit here. But if you call in right now, we'll punch you up. And you never know. You could go legend like Clavon.
You don't want to get hit by no Clipper because it's going to cut your ass in half. You don't want to get hit by no Clipper because it's going to cut your ass in half.
Oh, I guess we'll have to get to your calls in a little bit. Because join the show right now. Back from San Francisco is the man, the myth, the Tomer Azarly. Hide the women and children because he's got the video on. And there could be some salacious content here in the background if we're not careful. Tomer, you're on video. I just want to let you know you're on video. Tomer Azarly from Clutch Points is with us here on Clippers Talk. We can see you and we can see people behind you if your brother starts changing again and doing a wardrobe malfunction here on the show.
I'm literally going to text you a screen grab right now that shows a completely black screen.
You
But
really?
thanks for
It
having me,
doesn't
Adam.
show that
Appreciate it.
you're on video?
I'm literally showing you. I'm sending it to you right now via text that there is nothing showing on my screen.
Oh my God. I don't
Yeah.
understand. You're the only one that I've had this issue with.
I don't know. I've
Now
checked all the permissions and
it's
everything.
choppy. It's
Yeah,
choppy, it's
that just might be
delayed,
a
but your
Wi-Fi
voice
thing. I don't
sounds
know.
fine.
That's all that matters. You guys just want to hear me. You don't need to see me. You don't need
Oh,
to see anything
we
else
are
going behind
seeing
me.
you. I just want you to know, if anything's going on behind you, any hanky panky, it could be a problem.
Whoa there.
All right.
No, we're all good. We're all good. Appreciate you having me, though.
Welcome in, Tomer. I appreciate you doing this. I know you were up north. We were just listening to you post-game in the locker room, talking with Norman Powell and Ivica Zubac specifically. What was the environment like at Chase Center yesterday? Did it feel like a Game 7 type of atmosphere, which Steph Curry kind of played it off as going into the game, said it could feel like that big of a moment?
Oh, man, that atmosphere yesterday was one of a kind. It's strange. It's strange to go into a regular season game that everything around it felt like a playoff game. It truly, from the pregame introductions to the fans coming in there to speaking with the coaches and players and the kind of nervous intensity that everyone had, and some of the beat writers that were like, "I'm not sure what's going to happen," and then the beat writers on our side were like, "We're not sure what's going to happen." It really was just like a cautious pessimism, optimism. It was really intense, and I've never seen that for a regular season game. It truly was something to behold. I think the Warriors were 23-5 with Jimmy since acquiring him, something like that. The Clippers had won 17 of 20, and they've been playing really, really well. Like you could not have drawn up a better script to the end of the season. With that game being a national TV game, starting a few minutes later than some of the others, then going to overtime. Like it truly was an incredible game. The atmosphere, like Steph said, was incredible from the very tip. That arena was full, and loud, and yeah, it was just an incredible atmosphere. I don't know how else to describe it. It really was a lot of fun, a lot of nervousness, a lot of excitement, and it really felt like there was a lot on the line. Even though whatever team lost was going to host a game on Tuesday, it's not like it was over. But it really just felt like such a strong uh, level of nervousness in that arena. It was really fun. It was really fun to be a part of, though, I will say.
It felt tense just listening to it on the radio, watching it on TV. You could feel the tension and the weight of every possession and the magnitude of the ball game. Everything seemed to be elevated. It was an unofficial playing game, really, because winner got into a playoff series. That's
Yeah.
what's going to happen tomorrow night for the Golden State Warriors, now having to host that official playing game against the Memphis Grizzlies at home. What I was proud about most was both teams raised their level of play, and the Clippers didn't get this victory because the Golden State Warriors just came out slow or flat or were ice cold from the outside or anything like that. It was a well-played basketball game. Sure, there were some bad turnovers here and there, but it felt like one of those games where nobody lost. Like one team was just a little bit better in the end.
100%. Whoever lost the game, and I remember turning to Joey and I said this like in the third quarter. I was like, whoever loses this game is going to be so heartbroken, and I don't know how you can recover from that in a day's time to play a big game tomorrow night. Like whoever lost that game was really going to feel just bad. I know. Again, it was just a regular season game, but with everything that felt like it was on the line there, with a guaranteed playoff spot, some decent matchups. I think whoever won would have had a decent matchup in the playoffs. The Clippers with the Nuggets, and the Warriors would have gotten the Lakers. So, yeah, I think there was certainly a great level of excitement there, and the encore play certainly reflected that. I thought, I don't see guys came out nervous or anything like that, but I think um, it's easy in a game like that to let one shot or one play kind of affect your mindset. Norm didn't have the greatest start, but was able to hit that huge buzzer beater to end the first half, which was, I think, kind of a momentum shifter because that arena was kind of feeling it. I think the Warriors had a lead at the time, and Norm's shot gave the Clippers the lead back after they just gave up like a 15-0 run, I believe, in that first half, between the end of the first and the start of the second. So it felt like a huge shift of momentum, and it really sparked him in the second half where Kawhi and James Harden really took over. And it really was just a battle of wills. Like I don't know how else to describe it besides that. It was just who was willing to make the extra, get the extra rebound, who was willing to make the extra rotation, who couldn't get the extra shot, the extra pass. Like all those things just really came down to that. Yeah, it was a fun game, and honestly, the Warriors were right there. I mean, you look at the challenges the Clippers had. I know Justin talked about it the other day with Chris Holguin, who's kind of in charge of that, but they saved about 4 points, if I'm not mistaken, on those challenges. The Jimmy and one, it was 2 Jimmy and ones actually, and I believe they were both on Chris Dunn, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
One was the hook, which from our perspective, I couldn't tell what the challenge was. It looked like Chris just reached in, but upon replay, you could see the hook, and then the second one in overtime, you could tell that wasn't a foul, but Jimmy did a good job selling the out of bounds play there. So, I mean, Ty came in yesterday and hit.
No, those 2 reviews were huge. The second one calling it minimal contact. Of course, he still got the basket, but no and one goes to the free throw line. I think the one call the Clippers got that really may have changed this game if I'm a Golden State Warriors fan. And everybody coming into this game was saying, oh, they're going to help out Golden State because they want them versus the Lakers in the 3-6 matchup.
Can I guess?
Yes, sir.
Is it the James Harden lob to Zoo, which ended up being 2 free throws?
I think that was a lob and not a shot.
So it was a lob, but the thing is, it's really hard to argue that when the foul, you can argue after the foul changed his floater. And also, this is a game where he went to his floater a lot. He went to it quite a bit in this game. So it wasn't, from my perspective, that ball went to Zoo. Zoo was going to dunk it 100%. But yeah, that was a tough one. That was a tough one to kind of look at. And that was that was an overtime when James Harden, I think, had the first 8 points or something. So
yeah, he had 12 of the 13.
Yeah, that was a tough one. But just going back to like the first thing Ty said when he came into our press conference room, before any questions were asked, was he thanked the entire coaching staff for the hard work that they've done throughout Jeff Van Gundy missing time to a personal matter, throughout Ty missing time for his injury issues. He thanked everyone, top to bottom, the assistants, the all the staffers and everyone. It really was a big moment for them with that win yesterday. And so I think Ty obviously reflected that by thanking everyone, kind of the behind the scenes people before we even got to ask him any questions.
I think it cemented what a remarkable season this was for this Clippers team, Tomer. This is an all-timer that we're going to remember, just like the 2018-2019 season. Some people will remember it as the James Harden year or the Ivica Zubac year or Norman Powell, who should have been an all-star because of how well he played in the first half. But just it's a continuation of the character of this team and how resilient they've been over the years, really, because they've had the most 20-point comebacks. They've had so many situations where other guys have had to step up because of availability issues. It's the makeup of this team. It's Coach Lou being a common denominator throughout the different lineups and rosters. It's Lawrence Frank and how he cooked this offseason. But, yeah, I think this is one of those years where people are going to look back fondly upon forever. No matter what happens in this playoff series, if they lose in 6 to Nikola Jokic, there's no shame in that. Like, people will still, I think, be happy and feel like they overachieved this year to some degree.
I mean, look, I don't think, alluding to the MVP, the finals MVP in Jokic, like, he's unstoppable. I think that's going to be a problem of its own. But yeah, this year itself, I think, was a very successful one, because when you let a guy like Paul George walk, again, the idea of letting a guy like Paul George walk just seems asinine nowadays. If you have a chance to keep a guy like that, you keep him. And so I remember, I think a lot of us, when we were thinking about it last year, it kind of made sense. Like, you could see the end of the road for the Paul George thing, but you also weren't sure what how you proceed from there. What does that look like with the uncertainty around Kawhi's health? How much does James Harden still have as a number 1 or a number 2? Like, there's a lot of uncertainties there. And I think the Clippers, Lawrence Frank and those guys and Trent Redden and the front office really constructed a well-balanced roster, probably the most complete team that they've had in Kawhi's 5 years here, in my opinion. the ability to get Derrick Jones Jr., who, I almost kind of have to say, like, think Clipper fans should thank him switching agents randomly, because that delayed the Mavs being able to sign him, and they ended up getting Najee Marshall, and he came here. Like, that looks like a little blessing in disguise where it worked out here. Chris Dunn ended up being available, and he's on an absolute bargain of a deal. Nico Batum coming back was also big. Like, you got the glue guys, you got the connectors. Think about those three guys. They've played significant and crucial minutes for this team. And like, I don't know if one star player can kind of make up all of that, especially not an aging one. And so I think the Clippers really got a good complement of players around Kawhi and James, and they were able to also make sure that Zoo was given room to develop and grow. Norm was kind of given the ball and the keys to go make stuff happen. I think what did he finish averaging before the All-Star break? I think it was like 24.2 points. Yeah. He had that 40-point game before Utah. Like, it's so many things. Everyone kind of had their piece in their time this season. James obviously had that big game against the Pistons coming off a 3-game losing streak and that long road trip they had. 50-piece in front of President Obama, got a big win there against the Red Hot Pistons team. Like, everyone had a big role, and and that just felt like a real complete team. Like, honestly, this feels like one of the most complete teams. And now that Kawhi's healthy and looking like himself again, if he can just stay healthy, like, man, I think the sky's the limit, because I think this Denver team is a little exploitable outside of Jokic. Like, we know what he can do, but I think, some injury issues. There's some stuff going around there. I think they're exploitable. But yeah, this is the most complete team I think we've really seen. And I thought, I mentioned this to some of the guys yesterday, like, Steph Curry had his 36 points. He shot efficiently from the floor. He did have 8 turnovers, though. And I also asked Steph about this, but, like, Chris Dunn, I felt like, did a phenomenal job yesterday, because anytime he was on the floor with Steph had to work for every single thing. Steph was like, on one part, I'm like, man, Steph doesn't stop running. And then on the other hand, well, he can't stop running because Chris is all over his ass. He cannot breathe for 1 second. And so I think, again, Steph is a phenomenal player. He got his. He's going to get his. And Chris mentioned, like, you can't get discouraged. Like, JVG also reminded him, you can't get discouraged. He's going to get his own. Keep going at him. Keep going at him. Keep going at him. And that's what they did. And again, I know Steph got his own, but, man, if you watch that game, Chris did a phenomenal job on Steph.
Well, in the same way,
the whole team did, but Chris did specifically.
No, I completely agree. Chris Dunn has been a top 5 defensive player, I think, this season in the league. He's been that good. He won't get the accolades because the minutes aren't there, the games aren't there. But when he's out there on the floor, he is one of the most effective perimeter defenders in the world. And in the same way that Coach Lue calls him and DJ as shutdown corners, well, he has the same mentality of a cornerback. You get beat on a touchdown, you got to forget about it quickly. Like, you got to have a short memory. And he did, because Steph, I think, only had 3 points in overtime after having 18 in the fourth quarter and looking like he was just going to go nuclear. No, you were going to have to tip your cap and say, well, the Clippers lost to maybe a top 5 player of all time, and that's okay. They played a great game. But no, they still found a way, and Chris Dunn was a big part of that.
Yeah, Steph went 18 points, 5 for 5 from the field, 5 for 5 from the line in the fourth quarter, then was held to just 3 points in overtime. So, yeah, great job by Chris Dunn. Oh, another funny thing I had was yesterday before the game, I saw Christina Pink standing there, and I walked up to her, and I was like, are you ready for this game? Because every time this team comes up north, some, like, crazy, nervous game happens every single time. And then post-game, I was like, man, we talked about it, but we did not see that coming. That was peak levels of, like, excitement, nervousness, anxiousness. That was incredible.
High-level basketball, high-level competition, tough shot making all around. Kawhi, Harden, Steph, Jimmy Butler had 30. It was a really well-played game. The intensity level was there, the passion from guys. And, there was one real big miscue that may have turned the game in the Clippers' favor. And Draymond owned it post-game, but my goodness, did he smoke this layup. And I know he owned it, but this is a wild frame here. He has the ball in his hands. Look where Kawhi is. Look where Ivica Zubac is. Just go up strong. But it's almost like he's spooked that Kawhi's that close. He tries to draw the and one instead of just going for the layup there. That was wild.
Kawhi didn't even contest that hard, if I'm not mistaken. I think he kind of just stood there while Draymond tried to sell the contact and jump into
It
him.
was almost like it was a different way of pulling the chair, or pulling the love seat or whatever, like with the way he defended it. I think Draymond thought there would be more contact, maybe. That was
Yeah,
a
he
huge
anticipated. I
moment.
mean, post game in the locker room, he was upset with himself. He goes, "I can't make an effing layup. If I could make an effing layup, maybe the game would be different." He mentioned it, kind of walking around. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah, that was a big moment. Yeah, for sure.
This Clippers team getting to 50 games. Who do you think was the MVP this season? Is it James Harden for you? Is it Jeff Van Gundy? Is it Coach Lou? Is it Ivica Zubac? Like, who had the biggest slice of the pie to get them to this point? Who's that player or coach, or was it Lawrence Frank?
Is it even possible to pick just one guy?
Not that
Genuine, like I don't even know if it's possible to pick because every single person has a case. Like everyone you mentioned has a case.
who's got the slightly bigger sliver of the pie.
I'll give it to James Harden. He edges out Ivica Zubac for me. I think because of again he was kind of like relegated to a third star role the last couple of years, and at age 35, 36, I think there were legitimate questions about what he has left in the tank, what he's capable of doing, and yeah, I think he probably ends up taking that because he played 79 games this year. He only missed, I believe, 2. I know the efficiency wasn't always there, but when the Clippers needed him most, he pretty much came up clutch for them all season. Mentioned the 50 ball against the Pistons. He had a couple 40-point games. Like whenever he needed them, especially last night. I mean, talking about 12 points in overtime. This is a guy who has had his demons with the Golden State Warriors, especially in their arena, dating back to when he was with the Rockets. Like he had their demons to face against that team. During All-Star, I believe. Yeah, we asked him about being back at Oracle and in that arena, and just he's like, oh man, I've had so many battles and so many bad memories here because we couldn't get it done, even though we were so close. So to kind of to cap off the season with the kind of performance that he had, I think I would probably have to give it to him. Yeah, but Zoo's a close second for me. If it were up to me, I'd give him co-MVPs for James and Zoo because I think expectations were high for Zoo, and I think it's pretty fair to say that he exceeded all of them. Both from a defensive standpoint, holding this team down. You saw the video. I asked Ty about this, but like they were so concerned over the last couple of years about him being worn down by the end of the season and not being able to withstand that many minutes or that many games and being injured. He's had the calf issues before. This guy just played 80 games at 33 minutes a game, and just completely dominated all year. I mean, I think he had, what did we finish with, like 4 20-20 games. I think he finished averaging 17 and 13 on the season. Super efficient. I think I saw a stat the other day, the most hook shots in a season since like 2000 or something. Like he was just phenomenal this year. He's just been top to bottom, a lifesaver, and it's been so pleasant to watch because from my perspective, and you've been here a while too, but like it's rare that you get to see a guy and be around to cover a guy with one team and watch him grow and develop like that. Who isn't a star? Stars you can see, but who isn't a star necessarily?
He's a star now.
To be able to watch him come in from like a young guy, kind of like an afterthought in a trade, becomes a starter, then loses a spot to like Serge Ibaka, then comes back and becomes a starter. It's really incredible to watch his development, his growth, over these 7 or 8 years, however long it's been. So James Harden edges it out, but I really want to give him co-MVPs if you can let that slide.
Somebody in here is saying anybody else but Kawhi is MVP. Come on. Guys, he played 37 games. What are you talking about? Like, yes, they went 26-11 in those games, but I think you have to give it to the guys who played more than twice as many games as Kawhi this season. I love Kawhi. He's the ceiling raiser, of course, but come on. What are you talking?
I mean, Kawhi's important, and Kawhi's definitely a ceiling raiser, and he got stuff done. but they're not even in a position to make the playoffs if they don't have James and Zoo playing the way they did. But by the time he comes back in what, mid-January, early January.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, look, is there a 65 game limit for this, Adam?
Yeah, we got to change the rules, I suppose, like the NBA has. All right. Clippers taking on the Denver Nuggets in the first round. How do you feel about this matchup at first glance? We go back to 2020 against Denver. We can go back to 2006 against Denver. They have a little bit of a playoff history against them. They're 1-1. But how do you feel about the matchups with the Clippers versus this team that does have Jokic, but as you mentioned, they also have some flaws?
Yeah, this is an interesting one because you always hear people going, well, who's going to stop Jokic? Who's going to stop Jokic? Well, show me one guy who has stopped Jokic ever. You're not going to find one.
Ivica Zubac has had the best
He's
success.
that good, and he best success, but he's still not stopping. Like, if I remember correctly, in those games, Denver won some of them, and he still finished with like a 25-point triple-double, even though he shot like 7 of 30 or whatever it was. Like, he still got his own. He still got guys involved. So the biggest thing with him is you're not going to stop him scoring. I think it's much easier said than done, but you really just have to keep his teammates from getting involved. If you can do that, reduce the amount of Michael Porter Jr. corner threes or the amount of little back cuts that Aaron Gordon gets for lobs and those kind of things. Aaron Gordon, by the way, has taken a big step this year. He's been much better as a playmaker and a scorer for them off the dribble in the games that Jamal and Jokic have missed. But I think if you can just limit the amount that Jokic gets his teammates involved, and again, it's easier said than done, that's probably a formula for success. I think kind of similar to what Tyler did with the Mavericks and Luka Doncic over the last couple of years. Just if you're going to score 40 on us, all right, do it every night. But what you're not going to do is finish with 12 assists a game, getting 8 threes in the corners off your dimes and stuff like that. Like, you're just not going to get that. And again, it's much easier said than done. It's going to be an incredibly difficult series. But I do think the Clippers have a good complement of guys around their stars now, who can kind of attack it a little differently. Like, I think you can probably attack Jamal Murray more now. You know, I know he's dealing with a little hand in the playoffs, so that's probably want to attack. You know, I think Michael Porter Jr. is a guy who probably is not always locked in defensively. That's the guy you want to try to attack. Nikola Jokic, I think, is an improved defender, but you want to test that foot speed. Try to get James Harden on some switches, see what you can kind of go out there. Like, I think there's all sorts of things you can try and exploit. And then the bench. Like, I think the bench minutes are going to be big here. I truly, and this isn't trying to insult anyone, like, I don't know if there's anyone you can rely on the Nuggets bench. I know Russell Westbrook and what he's capable of. I know they've had who they have, Peyton Watson coming off that bench, and they've played Jalen Pickett a little bit. I don't know where Julian Strawther is right now, but like, there's no one you can really rely on that bench, in my opinion. And so the Nuggets are going to play starter heavy minutes. They're going to play probably 40 minutes, 45 minutes a night, 43 minutes a night, something like that. And so I'd be curious to see what the bench minutes look like, because the Clippers bench, in my opinion, has an advantage where they can stagger Kawhi and James a little better. They have a good complement of defenders coming off the bench and playmakers coming off the bench and shooters coming off the bench. The biggest thing, and I think the Warriors kind of exploited it with Jimmy Butler, is a guy like Aaron Gordon will probably try and seek a mismatch on like Bogey or Norman Powell, and they can take him off the dribble. And those have been two of the weaknesses for the Clippers. Is how can you kind of make sure they're not just leaving your guys on an island to go get scored on. Jimmy, I think, did a fantastic job yesterday of getting his switches, and he attacked the hell out of it. I think he had 2 dunks right off the bat on getting Bogey on him. He drew a foul on Norman Powell. I think he got an and one on Norman Powell, or maybe just a layup. Like, he did a good job of that, and I think that's something the Nuggets will try to do as well with Aaron Gordon, given his ability to kind of create off the dribble. So, like, I think it'll just come down to good team defense from that perspective. But yeah, this is a very interesting series. Like, I think there's so many different kind of optionalities that both teams have, but I think the bench is really what wins this. Like, you've seen it, we've seen it. If you get a good Russell Westbrook game, if he gets you, a 3 for 4 shooting game from 3, that changes the game a lot more. I think if he plays within his role, which he's capable of, he can be very, very good. It's when he gets a little shot happy, or creation happy, kind of go to the basket, maybe missing a layup or forcing a pass, that I think the Clippers could capitalize on that, because those are almost like turnovers. Those missed shots are almost like turnovers.
Oh, they
So,
are. When he smokes layups
yeah,
going
interesting
downhill,
series.
they're turnovers.
Yeah, we've seen it. We've seen it.
I
So,
wanted to ask you about Russ because you've covered him so much the last year and a half in the locker room, behind the scenes. What do you think his mindset is going to be in this series? Is it all about Russ revenge? Is it an individual battle for him against the Clippers?
it can't be about Russ revenge, because then he's going to end up playing like 5 minutes a game. It can't be about that. No, I think, given what we just talked about with their lack of bench depth, I think he is going to have to be more locked in than anyone. I would say, just because I don't think he thinks of it this way, as like I got to get my get back against this team who let me go and it didn't work out and yada yada. I think he would probably enjoy getting that. But I think his mindset is probably just to help his team win, and that's whatever it takes, whether it's facilitating, whether it's going to get the extra rebound, which we know he's very capable of doing, whether it's pushing in transition. Like, I think he's capable of doing things that can hurt the Clippers. I just want to see how shot happy he gets. Like, the Clippers will give him that mid-range jumper. Anywhere on the free throw line, the three-point line, go ahead, take him. They're probably not even going to guard him. The key will be not falling asleep and having him back cut you for a lob or a loose ball rebound, put back dunk type thing. Those are the things that he can kind of kill you with. But I expect him to kind of play within his role. I don't think he gets, he'll get too out of his own, character, I guess you could say. But he's also a guy he's a fiery guy. He'll find any little thing that you do, maybe a little shoulder bump here or an elbow there, and kind of start something. We saw that last year with PJ Washington and the Mavs, and that started the whole pose thing, and that was shown throughout the playoff run and even to this day. So, I'm very curious what that looks like, because if Russ is the good version of Russ, that's going to be a very good thing for the Nuggets. But if he's not, the Clippers should be able to exploit that pretty easily.
Yeah, I agree with you. He's so volatile with his play. He went 8 for 42 the last 5 games of that series last year for the Clippers against Dallas. And I think he was veering outside of his lane, getting outside of himself, trying too hard to make things happen instead of playing within himself. But that's his nature. He's a chaotic player, but it can go one of two ways. It rarely is something where it lands in the middle with Russ. It's going to be really good or really bad, but it can be really good. And if he gets hot from the outside, like you said, that could be a problem for the Clippers. All right. He is Tomer Azarly. Want to get that early preview in with game 1 coming up on Saturday in Denver, 12:30 tip. Tomer, you got anything you can plug here? Are you going to be in Denver? Are you going to be following the team? What are you writing about right now?
Right now, I'm probably going to be writing about how did I put this nicely? How silly the 65 game, 20-minute a game rule is. Because there is zero reason that Chris Dunn should not be on an all-defensive team. Zero reason. And I think the full season just Jazz. Yeah, I'll be at the gym tonight, bro. I'll see you there. Yeah, I'll see you there. He keeps hitting me up about that. I think there's zero reason that Chris Dunn should not be in an all-defensive team. I think it's a very stupid rule. Like, I think Law said he finished at 53 games qualified of 20 minutes or more. I remember talking to Ty last year, and he was so adamant that we're gonna get Chris an all-defensive team selection. That's my prediction for him, and that's what I want for him. And I was like, well, is he gonna play enough? And he said, yeah, he's gonna be a big thing for us. He might even start. And I was like, okay, that'll be interesting. And he ended up starting. He ended up playing really well, and it's really disappointing to see that he's not gonna make it because of some stupid rule about the minutes. It's just ridiculous. Like, I think Justin's done it a little bit, but I want to compare his minutes to some other guys who have made all defensive teams or defensive player of the year and see how those minutes stack up, because I know it's a different CBA, but it's just a ridiculous rule to not allow a guy to be, qualified for that. Given what you've seen, like, if you've watched the games, there is zero chance this man should not be on an all defensive team. He absolutely should be on there. But so I'll probably write about that and kind of his impact there. Let's see what else we got here. Probably a preview for the series. I will be in Denver.
Nice.
Will not be excited for that altitude, but we'll be in Denver. And yeah, we'll kind of see how it goes from there. I don't know. It's going to be this time of year is always fun because it's kind of hectic. It's all over the place. It's a little chaotic. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I'll be there.
He is Tomer Azarly from Clutch Points at TomerAzarly, covering the Clippers. Has been doing it for years. Will be in Denver. Make sure to subscribe to all of his social media platforms that he is on. Tomer, thanks for doing this today here on Clippers Talk.
No problem. I have one more funny stat to give you before I hop off.
Give it to me.
Did you know that yesterday's game, the Warriors finished with the third fewest rebounds in an NBA history overtime game?
Ooh, I didn't know that. I knew it was bad. They were complaining post-game for their lack of effort on the boards and the loose balls.
They only had 25, and it was the third fewest in NBA history, behind the 51. I don't even know what team this is. In 1951, a 6 overtime game, and 1992, there were 24 rebounds in that game and 22 in the first one. They had the third fewest rebounds in an overtime game in history.
Wow. Thanks, Big Zoo.
Yeah, Zoo almost out rebounded by himself.
Yeah, 25-17. That's wild. All right. Yeah, yesterday was a good day.
Incredible.
It's a good week.
Incredible.
A little bit of time to decompress, reflect on the season, and then get ready for Denver. I'm very thankful that the Clippers got it done in overtime yesterday, so we got a little bit more time off here. And hopefully Nico Batum.
Time off. Let's go.
You hear anything about Nico Batum, Tomer, while I have you here?
I haven't. He was not on the trip to Sacramento or San Francisco. He stayed back home, so he was never going to play in any of those games. I think he's just recovering right now. I don't think it's anything they're overly concerned about. But we'll kind of find out throughout the week as they get back on the court and we get to talk to Ty and medical does some more evaluation. I'm sure he's rehabbing and trying to get right. But as of now, I don't think there's anything to be concerned about yet. But we'll kind of see as the practices get back in and we'll see what's going on with him.
All right. Well, again, make sure to follow Tomer Azarly on X. He'll have you up to date with all the injury news, and they need Nico Batum in this series dearly. So tipping off on Saturday, Game 1, Clippers taking on the Denver Nuggets. For Tomer Azarly, I'm Adam Osland. Hey, if you need more because we only went an hour, go check out the show last night. It's 5 hours. Justin Russo jumped on at one point. It was incredible.
5 hours?
Yeah, we went 5 hours post-game. What was a big deal? I mean, come on.
So the Clippers went to 1 overtime and you put in 3 overtimes, huh? Okay.
At least, yes. I pushed things to the limit. It was an early game, so by the time I ended, it was still like 9 o'clock. I was like, whatever. If they win the championship, I said I'll go for 24 hours straight. I already put that out there, and I'm a man of my word. But if you guys need more content here, check out last night's show. It's 5 hours long. We had a guy call in from Australia, Melbourne. It was awesome. Clipper Nation is everywhere. But again, for Tomer Azarly, I'm Adam Osland. We will talk to you guys tomorrow. This has been 192 days straight of Clippers Talk.
Off the air.